how do you know that you are saved? In the past, that same class would have answered, because I believe in Jesus Christ, and all the rest of it. But the modern version of this question is, how do you know you are a good person? How can you have assurance of your goodness? Which is Max Weber's question in The Protestant Ethic and the Spirit of Capitalism. And Weber says that anxiety about salvation actually has economic and political consequences. So let's apply that Weberian analysis and ask, what are the consequences of being worried about your salvation? Phrased in today's terms, of being worried about being a good person. If it's all about social ills, then you know that you are a good person if you are opposed to those social ills, if you are anti-racist, even if you don't do anything. You are convinced of your own salvation. You are one of the elect if you adopt this stance of being opposed to the great sins. Now, what we've seen over the past decade is that younger people are less willing to put up with the hypocrisy of knowing you are a good person but not actually doing anything about it. And there's to become violent out of this. Members of the elect are much more economically and socially insecure than the elite, but they have the same education, they have the same social markers, and in some ways we are seeing an intra-class warfare between the elect and the elite. What's extraordinary is that the young members of the elect seem to kind of be winning against the old elite. This is the only way I could explain what happened in 2020 when young staffers at the New York Times forced James Bennett, the editorial page editor, to resign. And that's incredible. Every old newspaper editor I knew in the generations before mine when I was young would have looked at a letter signed by hundreds of junior staffers criticizing an editorial decision and said, "I'm sorry that you're quitting." Mm-hmm. The younger generation, when they see old power figures tremble, start thinking, why aren't we in the positions of power? Then class elements, elitism start to creep back in, but the original impulse came from seeing leaders like college presidents being hypocrites. They were just mouthing what they thought was the latest line of the old liberal consensus. What they didn't fully intuit is that the old liberal consensus was completely gone and the new line had become something much more radical. If today you were to put forward any of the shibboleths of high liberalism of the 1950s, you would be immediately denounced as a terrible reactionary conservative.